Leadership questions. You see where that is, guys? Leadership questions. Is leadership about power? Is it about position? Is it about talent? Is it about scale? Authority, social status, charisma? You know, we have leaders around the world today. It's all about power. Power, 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 power. Power, power. I'm the battery. But that's the thing of it is, unless they connect with the right people and stuff, the power is useless. And again, like I said earlier, God created us to want that power. I mean, that's in us. But God also put in us the desire to have community. We need each other. I said this through the pandemic thing is, you know, what did they tell you to do? They told you to stay away and stop communicating. God created us for touch, and God created us for to communicate. I say that's why this pandemic was so evil. It was evil. I had COVID, and I'll tell you what, I felt evilness in my mind, in my brain, because I literally had a brain fog. It's like, it was evil. It seemed like it was a different level than just a lot of other sicknesses, like you get a flu or a cold or something. This was evil. And this is why even now, I don't know if you see, but I wear hearing aids because I'm tone deaf in certain tones because of years ago I was around equipment without hearing protection. And because of that, if you talk to me with a mask, 9 times out of 10, I won't understand you because I'm used to seeing you. And so I'm saying, you know, if you're pro-mask or whatever, I don't care either way. It's up to you. But I'm just telling you that the behind what really, and that's where the power grab has been. We see it taking place, especially in America. I mean, I don't know if you guys are watching American news at all, but it is unhinged, totally unhinged. What's going on? I mean, it's stuff that I never saw we would ever see happening in America. Thought we'd never see it. And so it's just been, but we recognize, but it's also an era, and we were talking a little bit about this back in the office. The break time is, it's a time when the church, you know, this is not a political thing. In America, we say it's not a Democrat or Republic thing. It's not a Trump thing. It's pro-Trump, not against Trump, whatever it is. That's not what it is. It's a God thing. It's a time for the church to rise up and make a stand, because you and we're the authority on this earth for his kingdom. And what we do in life, we back off, is when the enemy gets foothold. I don't care, in our own lives, in our dreams, whatever we do. If we back off, in the meantime, they get a foothold in it. And again, it's the idea of understanding who we are. Are leaders born or made? Leaders are both. They're born and they are made at the same time. When you're born a leader. It's in you. You're born to lead. It's not this idea you're a leader and you're not. That's nowhere in the scripture. But on the other hand, you are a leader, and at the same time you become a leader. So it's an ongoing thing as long as you live. The older I get, I find the less I know. Kids go off to college to come back. Wow, Dad, it's amazing how much you learned while I was gone. But I say that because we are all made of the same stuff. We just operate in different levels or different dreams or different visions. And the person that cleans this church is just as important as your pastor here. In fact, could you imagine coming into a building it's not clean? So when you think about it, creating an environment that's pleasant. How many hours did you spend doing that this week? None. See, that's what I call team. And that's why we have to understand that everybody brings something to the table that is of value that nobody else has. Just like those 40,000 parts of that car. We think the least significant one, sometimes we don't see it. We don't see those bolts up underneath. We can't even see them. But if those bolts come out, things are going to fall apart. And that's what happens many times within an organization. Because we don't value. Now, this is one I don't want you to do. Okay, that's the part. I just want the picture of the sheep. Can you get that? See, if you put it on as a PowerPoint, you put it on, you're displaying it as a PowerPoint. You should have just a picture of sheep. Okay. Okay, well then, hold off a second. I have a picture of sheep that doesn't want to come up. That's very typical sheep. They're stubborn. In fact, I was born and raised on a farm. I've been around animals all my life. Sheep are the dumbest animals God created, so don't ever call me a sheep. God doesn't call me a sheep. He refers to me as a sheep. Because I need a shepherd. A sheep needs a shepherd. Several years ago, there was a story on the news where the sheep were gone, literally hundreds of sheep got gone away, gone down over the cliff. They just followed each other. Died. The farmer lost a couple hundred of them because they just all go right there. And that's the way we are without our shepherd, without Jesus, without God. Now put the other one up. Go ahead. The sheep. Okay. Now, you're way far. You're too far. Go back. Huh? Is it stuck? But this is what it should say. The spirit of leaders. Now listen to this. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. Did you get that? Oh, there it is now. An army of sheep led by the lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. And I'm going to get into that, why I say that. Go ahead, go to the next one. Because leadership determines the quality of the people that are following you. Leadership determines the mentality of the followers. Leadership determines the morality of the followers. So you can determine the quality of people you're leading, the people you bring into your team, the people that help you with entrepreneurship, the people that help you in a business, the people that help you in a church. Leadership determines the quality. Go ahead, do the next one. Leadership determines the attitudes of followers. Leadership determines the commitment of followers. Leadership determines the destiny of followers. Hey, which, by the way, I'm going to leave a copy of this PowerPoint. These people are welcome to it. That's you guys can, you're still more than welcome. Now, here's the part when I wanted just my buddy here. I didn't want the wording at this point. I wanted just my buddy. Did anybody ever walk with lions? Anybody? I did many times, right here in South Africa. There's a place up in Limpopo you can go walk with lions. That's the picture I should have actually put up there, but I don't. Holding the tail and rubbing his back. It's funny because when the South Africans find out we do it, they say, no way, I wouldn't do it. Now you have to understand, I'm a farm boy. I was born and raised on a farm, around animals. So I have no fear of animals, or thought I didn't. First time we were here, we drove through a park outside of Joburg where you drive through, you're self-driving, you drive through. There's this giraffe over there. Now, I have a picture of this one. I need to bring some of these pictures in there. I have a picture of that, too, where me and another guy, me and Elmer, the guy I was talking about, we get out, we walk up. I got a picture of me having a hand up next to this giraffe. The ranger, they call them rangers or whatever, he come around, get away from him, he kicks. But then later I found out it's not his legs you're worried about, it's his head you got to worry about, you know? And then we were driving through Kruger one time. There was this Cape Buffalo along the road. So we stop. Elmer opens the van door. And right there's the buffalo. Buffalo goes, and goes running. But since I had some education on it, I thought, man, that guy. I wouldn't do that stuff again, is what I'm saying. Now, we do walk with lions on a regular basis simply because they're trained, and there is always the rangers around us. And they carry meat. In case they get sidetracked, they throw the meat, you know. I always give them a hard time. I says, I hope they're not too hungry for white meat today. But anyway, a lion, for instance, he's not the tallest. He's not the strongest. He's not the biggest. He's not the most powerful. He's not the most intelligent, but what? We call him the king of the jungle. Am I right? So why do we call him that? Go ahead. Go to the next one. The key of a lion's leadership is his attitude. Remember, he's not the tallest. He's not the strongest. He can't run the fastest. But still he's considered. Why? Because it's his attitude. Belief is the potential of his creative skills and resources for the benefits of his objectives. Confidence is the lion's ability to achieve his objective and accomplish his goals. Go ahead. What's this? What's this all about? Look at that. Now look at that big elephant, which, by the way, last week we were interacting with those guys. Pastor Munley did it too when he was with my team. You know, they're smart. It fascinated me, the education in that thing. You know, but they're big. Look at that guy. The lion's little. But remember the lion's attitude. You know what the lion sees when he sees the elephant? Lunch. It's the attitude. It starts here. Because a couple lions will take down an elephant. You know, a number of years ago, we were in Kenya. And we went out on a safari ride, and somebody radioed and said, hey, there's a lion just killed a zebra somewhere. So we went real quick. For about an hour, we were sitting there watching about from here back to that wall. They were there. But what was interesting to me, the male lion was there just devouring away. Two females just sitting over there. And soon the male was done. He walked over, the females came up and finished. And I found out that the females actually do the kill. And then the male eats first. That's the way it should be in life. Go ahead. Do the next one. The power of leadership is literally the belief and the attitude. And what you do in entrepreneurship, what you do in business or whatever is going to depend on your belief in yourself more than anything. And your attitude about things around you. An attitude about you and the idea that you can do it. Leaders don't see through their eyes. They see through their belief. And I'm applying this because I brought this in because I wanted you to hear this, because whether you're in business or whether you're in entrepreneurship, whether you're in what we call marketplace, whether you're in kingdom business or whatever you call yours, these principles apply to you because it's going to be your attitude, the outcome of it. If you do a recycling, if you don't have the right attitude, you'll never do it. To leaders, life is what you believe it is. Go ahead, do the next one. Leadership is 20% training skill, and 80% attitude. What you do in life, and this is the thing where education, and again, I'm not anti-education. I am not. I only have an 8th grade education. How much do you have? How much? 11. See, you have 3 more than I do. So who would say is more valuable? But I mean, society and culture. That's what I'm saying. You know, anybody in here with a university degree? How much? How many years? So you go 12 years and then 4 years? 16 years. She went to school twice as much as me. That means she must be twice as valuable. I am trying to get out of our mind what culture and society tries to put onto us that was never meant for you and I to carry. And it starts right here with our attitude. And training, look at that. Yes, you have to know, in order to do it, like my daughter, she had to research about that Mustang. That's part of training, learning about that. It's your attitude that will carry it. Yeah, I use the example many times about crushing dreams. Is there anybody in here, your siblings, your brother and sister, or sisters or brothers? Anybody? You have a sister here or a brother? That's here now. Okay. Anybody? Okay, I'm going to use your pastor and his wife then as an example. Stand up here a moment. This is what we do. They're brother and sister. They're not husband and wife right now. Well, maybe they are. So I'm the parent. What's wrong with you? Look at him. He can pull straight A's. You got this poor report card. You can do better than that. Come on. What does that do to her? Makes her feel less valuable. This is what we do many times to our children. And come to find, she works twice as hard for her grades than he does for his A's. But see, this is what, I did this at a church recently where I pulled the siblings up like that, and I ended up pointing the opposite. I didn't know this, but it ended up being the opposite as what it was. In other words, I made her, the same as I did here. But found out she was the smart one. He was the one that never did good in school. Now, I used that as an example later. I found out after the next day about that, but it was interesting because she's also a school teacher. So you see, she needed the education to do the school teacher. He has an interest in audio, sound systems and stuff. You won't get that education in school anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So it depends where you're at. But what happens is, out of not understanding even our own children, we put them against each other to the point one feels more valuable than the other. We do it all the time. Thank you. So be careful that you don't do that. And again, ask your children for permission to speak into their lives. Because that's huge. You'll gain their respect just like that if you do. I did this at a church recently, the same thing, where a couple days later, one of the men at the church came to me and says, you know, we have 3 children. The oldest is a son. The other 2 are daughters. And the always thing is that the son would try to explain himself, and they'd shut him down. And he got the feeling, well, the girls can get away with anything, but he can't. After my meeting that night, he went home and sat down, started talking to his son. He shut up and started listening to him. In fact, his son even said, Dad, what happened to you? But it all of a sudden made him feel valuable. So this is the same thing we need to bring in no matter what. If we have business, if we ever get employees, or even the people we serve as far as customers or whatever. We have to understand they are individuals. And if we are given the opportunity to go pick up recycling things from somebody, they are more than just providing for us. It is our opportunity to be a representative of the kingdom to them that they never see. So everything we do, see what I'm saying? Everything I do, I wrap around. What's the kingdom principle here? I wake up in the morning and say, God, help me, no matter who I come in contact with, that I can be a proper influence on this earth for you, that they could be understand the kingdom better. So this is, but it depends on our attitude. Leadership attitude's contagious. Leadership attitude determines the atmosphere in an organization. Leadership attitude is inherited and natural. The leader's belief system is the source. The power of attitude. Attitude determines the limitations. How you view life, or your attitude towards life, your attitude towards each other, whatever's going to limit it's going to limit you. Or it's going to determine your eliminations, is what I say. Attitude is the product of belief. No one can live beyond their limits of their beliefs. What you believe about yourself is what you become. Your life is what you think it should be. I'm going to say that again. Your life is what you see your life as being. So, as you think is what you become. Attitude is the manifestation of your personal philosophy. Philosophy is the product of your ideas. Proverbs 23rd verse. For as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. Somebody tell me where your heart is. Point to your heart. If you research this, I'm right in that. This is the center of your reasoning, and this is your heart. We know this is the heart. I understand that. So, your heart is the center of reasoning. It's a hidden mind. It's the unconscious mind. It's like the human hard drive. Everybody familiar with computers? You buy a computer. It has what they call a hard drive. And then you put software in. And you put information in. That's what we do with our minds. And what you put in here is what determines what's stored on your hard drive. And what's stored, listen to this one. What you store on your hard drive will never forget anything. It is in there subconsciously somewhere. So be careful what you put on your hard drive. I tell people this all the time. You will never forget anything. I say, well, I do all the time. But if you study this, your mind, your brain stores everything for your whole life right in there. So you need to be careful what you put in here, because it will determine your life. What is your philosophy about leadership? And here I got the scripture I was talking to earlier, Genesis 1st chapter, 26th verse. I'm just going to skim over this, but the fact that God created us in his image, and he put it in here us to have dominion. Dominion simply means to rule, to govern, to master, to manage, sovereign authority, to lead, but not to lead over people. Here's a side note that I like to throw out to people. Is God in control? Who would say God's in control? He gave us control. Sometimes I have people say, yeah, God's in control. You realize what you just said? Now, I understand that here's the thing of it is he is in control if I give him control. But it's the type of thing where he gave man, he gave it away. He gave it for us to dominate. Man, in return, gave it to Satan. But because of Jesus, we can buy that back. If we understand that. If we don't understand it. Now, I like to say, yes, God is in control of my life because I invited him and give him control. Somebody comes to me and say, well, God's in control. Why pray? If God's in control, why pray? If he's in control, is my prayer going to change him? He's in control. Oh, it's just a thought. That's not part of my life. I know my wife says I'm full of it, But anyway. No, she doesn't say that. Leadership philosophy, whatever, now I want you to listen to this. Whatever a manufacturer demands, he builds into his product. Whatever God calls for, he provides for. Now, here's the thing of it is, I use this chair as an example. Somebody had an idea. This chair started with an idea. But this chair was built to do one thing. What? For people to sit on it. So everything that this chair is designed to do is built in that. Now, it's not built to do this. People do it sometimes. I do sometimes. Why? It's convenient, But I'm saying that because everything, a phone, everything that the manufacturer, to make this phone work, the manufacturer put in it. But the same thing with you and I. We're manufactured. Yeah, we're created, but I want to say, the manufacturer looked at us. He says, everything you need to fulfill your destiny was in you before the foundation of this world. It was in you. The Bible says God finished, and then he began. So he knew you before you were. I like to ask people, where are you from? They tell me, I know you're actually from heaven. That's what I said earlier. I said, God doesn't need us in heaven because we were already there. He sent us to this earth. We are on this earth on an assignment. And that assignment is to make earth like heaven. And I believe one of the effective ways we can be that in today's world is marketplace or business or entrepreneurship. Because I believe it's a tool that God has given us. It's a tool. It's not so we get in here and get wealthy, and we might get wealthy. But then again, what's wealth determined on? In the United States, in Fort Worth, Texas, where I live, my wife and I, we have a nice house. Not a big house, just a nice house. We drive a nice car, but we don't have much when it comes to material things. But I tell people, I feel like the wealthiest person on earth. Simply because I get to experience and have relationships all over the world. Things will disappear. Relationships last. I've yet to see somebody gone to the graveyard with a baki following with their belongings. Baki, did I say that right? Baki. Following with their belongings. The minute you die, your body dies. I should say, the minute your body dies, somebody else will live in your house. Somebody else will be driving your car. But it's relationships that I believe are forever. I do. So I get to meet people. I have the best life that anybody could ever want because I get to experience different cultures. And I love that. When I go in places, I like to experience those cultures. I love to meet people from all over the world. That's me. That's who I'm called to be. To empower people where I'm at. So, purpose determines potential. Dominion capacity exists. Where am I at? Oh, whatever God calls for, he provides for. Whatever God demands, he inputs. Whatever God expects, he injects. Purpose determines potential. Dominion capacity exists in every human being. How much more time do I have? 6. Now, are you giving me a high five or are you giving me a thumbs up? I tell you what, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Putting up with me. Anyway, I want you to go to that next slide for a moment. Now, this, when you see that, this is what we in America call a speedometer. And the reason it has kilometers and miles both on, that's why it looks funny. But what kind of car you have? Okay, what is the highest number on your speedometer on it? Did you, 200 kilometers. I have a question. Did you ever go 200 kilometers? You did not. Why not? Huh? Why not? But it says 200. How do you know? You tried it. Was she with you? You know, my car, same thing, 200, but I've never gone, why not? There's speed limit signs up. Can't go. There's what we call speed bumps. I don't know, got to slow down. You got to slow down. It's dangerous, whatever. But I want to tell you something. I drive a Toyota product. And let's say a Toyota says 200, just like that. The manufacturer, I want you to think about this. The manufacturer tested that car at that speed. That's why I put that in. In other words, it put in that to be able to go that fast. Anybody follow where I'm going with this? Here's the thing is, the manufacturer put in you. Oh. But what happens? Oh, you could never do that. You're going too fast. Slow down, speed limits. So we never do it. Many of us never obtain the fullness that God designed us to do. Just like at the manufacturer of the car. They test them at that speed. Because if not, they'd be held liable. It's a liability thing. But very few people, except your pastor, tries it. Without his wife in it, with the car. I know what he's going to do soon. He's going to go like this. Your 10 minutes are up. But you see what I'm saying here? See, in each one of you, I guarantee you, none of you have ever tested the real ability that God has placed within you. Because you are obeying those speed signs, those limits, speed limit. You're limited. And because of that, we never really, truly experience what God put us to do. Conception does not guarantee manifestation. Fish swim. Birds fly. Seeds grow trees. I've never heard, I've heard fish being part of a school. English language, the same thing, fish swim in a school or something. But I've never heard they go to swimming school to learn how to swim. Oh, yeah, down the road here, there's this school where they teach birds how to fly. No, it's natural. A seed goes to a school, to the university, to learn how to be a tree. No, it happens. Interesting thing about a seed is, too, a seed has to die before it can grow. Think about that one. So many times our dreams, our visions, or what we feel is our purposes, sometimes we have to go through a death process before we see them grow. I did many times, things I've done. So don't ever not enjoy the death time. Oh, that's what did I just say? Never. But allow that to be a learning curve through life is what I'm saying. Buried in every human is an untapped leader. Buried in every person is an untapped idea. Buried in every person is something that nobody else has. You were not created to lead people. You were created to lead in the area of gifting. True leadership is born when your gift is discovered and served to the world. Whether that's through a business, whether it's through entrepreneurship, whether it's through working in the church as a pastor or whatever, or it's serving Steers hamburgers. I'm getting hungry. I see that word Steers there. The value of each human is the gift they were born to deliver to humanity. Your life is not about yourself, but your life is a gift to the people around you. Becoming a leader, you were born to lead, but you must become a leader. I want you to stand with me. Father, I thank you this morning. Thank you for God. I believe your word. I believe our time together has stirred up people's minds, stirred up their thinking. God, I pray that they would just take the seed that was sown in them today and they would let it germinate and come forth. I just speak dreams to come forth. I speak visions to come forth. I speak opportunities to come forth. I speak risk takers to come forth. Father, I thank you for that. I thank you, God, that within ourselves, we understand that you have, like that speedometer, God, you have created us to go to much faster speed than what we have accepted, because we've accepted the lies of our culture. We've accepted the lies of our government. We've accepted the lies of our churches, of people, of leaders that don't understand us. I just want to stop a little bit there. That's one of the biggest downfalls, is we have quote-unquote leaders that do not understand us, that speak into us, that affect the way we think about ourselves. So I say that again. I say be very conscious of who speaks into your life. There's people try to speak to my life. They say words, but I don't accept them. I let them go right over my head. And you can train yourself to do that. But on the other hand, allow people to speak into your life, but be very cautious who those people are, because they will determine many times how you think about yourself. And many times the people that you give permission to speak into your life are very few. It might just be one person that you really believe. You know that person has your best interest. That's huge. We all need those people in our lives. I was talking to a group of men yesterday, and I said, every man, especially men, women too, but a lot of women have a close friend, but many men don't. Every one of you men needs somebody in your life. I have somebody in my life, Pastor, that knows more about me than my wife does. We all do. We need that person where we can just dump or whatever. This person knows my inner thoughts sometimes because I share them with them. It's very relieving, very freedom having somebody like that in our life. So I want to encourage you men, as you move forward in business or entrepreneurship or whatever you do, that is very important. And most times it's just that one person, but we need that. And that's something that's, because most men, they'll just suck it up and make it happen. But it's very much freedom if you have that. But also be careful who that person is, because it has to be somebody that you can totally 100% trust. But Father, I just thank you for this group today. I speak blessings into their lives. God, just amazing people. I thank you for it.